Hi, welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Maria Andrea and I have a Christmas tag. I am wearing my leopardy Santa hat that matches my leopardy shirt, and I thought I would do this tag titled The Christmas Tree Minor Crisis Book Tag. This tag was created by Nigel at Reading Ideas, and I've seen this tag all over BookTube, and I haven't been tagged. Now, I have a list of tags I've been tagged in that I am so behind on that I haven't done. And I feel like the last few tags I've done, I'm doing tags that I wasn't even tagged to do, but I really want to do them. So I don't know. I should be doing the tags I've been tagged in. But this one has been really fun to watch, and I just watched Angelia's video go up in which she did um, this tag, and she's also did it and wasn't tagged and didn't tag anybody, and so I just took it upon myself to say, okay, Angelia, you tagged me, and I am doing this tag because I've been wanting to do it as well. So these are the prompts. Prompt number 1. Pine needles on the floor when nature strikes back. And for this one, I have Skunk and Badger by Amy Timberlake with pictures by John Klassen. Have you read this book? This is a very charming book. It's now a series. I only own the first one. I've only read the first one. The inside. Okay, so the inside end pages are like rocks. Because Badger collects and studies rocks. And this is what it says. No one wants a skunk. They are unwelcome on front stoops. They should not linger in rock rooms. Skunks should never, ever be allowed to move in, but Skunk is Badger's new roommate, and there is nothing Badger, who prefers to be left alone with his important rock work, can do about it. Skunk plows into Badger's life, and Badger's life is upended. Rocket potatoes are left in corners. Tails are flipped. The wrong animal is sprayed. And why, oh why, are there so many chickens? Newbery Honor author Amy Timberlake spins the first tale in a series about opposites who need to be friends in a book to read, reread, and read out loud again and again, with full color illustrations and additional black and white drawings by Caldecott Medal winning artist John Klassen. Amy Timberlake's novels for young readers have received the Newbery Honor, an Edgar Award, a Golden Kite Award, and the China Times Best Book Award. She grew up in Hudson, Wisconsin, but now calls Chicago home. She is a graduate of Mount Holyoke College and holds an MA in English and Creative Writing from the University of Illinois. You can find her walking on Chicago's lakefront trails on cool, crisp fall days. John Klassen is a Canadian-born author, illustrator. His books include I Want My Hat Back, This Is Not My Hat, winner of the Caldecott Medal, and We Found a Hat. He is a member of the Order of Canada in recognition of his contributions to children's literature. He currently lives and works in LA with his wife and 2 sons. And speaking of hats, I cannot. So hot. I cannot keep this hat on. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to be festive, but it's hot. I'm drinking iced sparkling water with this festive cane striped candy cane striped straw, because that's as festive as I think I'm gonna get today. So like the illustrations are really really pretty in this one. So that's nature. I mean, you can't get more nature strikes back than having a skunk move in with you, right? Like seriously, this is a really cool book. It is about unlikely friendships and to people who could not be more different, settling their differences. And if Skunk and Badger can settle their differences, that gives me hope for the world. So, Skunk and Badger. Prompt number 2, Shards of Christmas Tree balls to pick up. So when baubles fall and shatter. This happened to me too. Angelia mentioned this happened to her. This happened to me too when I was putting up the Christmas tree. I accidentally dropped or didn't really secure a bauble that what also was not a super cherished, treasured one. Um it was it was just one that could be replaced, so to speak. Um and yeah, having to pick it all up. And so this is to talk about a book in which someone gets stabbed or something shatters and falls. And so I went with fall and also with stabbed. I am currently reading Guilt and Ginatan by Mia P. Manansala. This is book 5 in the Tita Rosie's Kitchen Mystery series. And I was reading this just earlier today. I'm going to read to you a little bit of this. It's early on as the story is starting to like, and this is the cozy mystery series. So someone is going to be killed, murdered, and then Leela, who is our amateur sleuth, is going to investigate. So we know from the onset that's going to happen, and you're reading the exposition just to get to the point of like who's going to get murdered and how it's going to play out. So this is the setup. I have to read it because it's kind of funny. They're at a corn. I'm gonna just tell you. So they're at a corn maze, and there's a competition going between Leela and her best friends, and they're all trying to get through this corn maze. And so the winner is gonna have bragging rights forever. And Adina is Leela's best friend. She is Indian, and um, she is super competitive, and she is like for sure she thinks she's gonna win this. She's in it to win it. So they've already started like on your marks, it's set, go, and they've already all ran in. And Leela's strategy was to like walk through the maze, and like like touch the corn, and but she Adina made her watch Children of the Corn, so she's really spooked. And as she's walking, she hears a child carrying a corn husk doll and crying, and she like freaks out and is like thinking she's about to be murdered. So she's then the mom like she's thinking that this child is gonna murder her, and the mom shows up to pick up the lost child that's screaming. So anyway, I'm gonna read from this point on. This is the stabbing part. I ran through the corn maze, taking twists and turns without noting where I was going or which direction I'd come from. I soon regretted that, since the scream had cut off too soon for me to get a good idea of where the person was, and the only thing I'd managed to do was get myself even more lost. I briefly wondered how embarrassing it would be if I just stood in place and cried until someone found me. When the wavering light of a flashlight caught my eye, I sprinted toward it and nearly collided with Marcus Martinez, my Ninang May's younger son. Marcus, what are you doing here? A ridiculous question, considering he was wearing the bright orange logo shirt that all Shady Palm Corn Festival staff wore. I felt even sillier when he just pointed to the word security in all caps, no less, on his shirt. I heard screaming and already radioed for help, but I'm having trouble locating the person. Have you seen or heard anything suspicious? No, I heard the scream and tried to follow it too, but it stopped before I could find them. I got lost, and before I could recount my failed rescue mission, screams once again ripped through the air. Marcus and I glanced at each other for a split second before hurrying toward the terrified sounds. This time, I could make out more than one person screaming, and there was definitely someone calling for help. We crossed quickly into an adjoining maze and followed the sounds toward a small crowd staring at something in the recesses of a corn island. Excuse me, security coming through, excuse me. The buzzing crowd parted to let me and Marcus through so we could see what had everyone so scared. The first thing I saw was Yvonne, Mayor Reyes's wife, lying on the ground. The back of her sweater was covered in blood, and she wasn't moving. The next thing I saw was Adina, unconscious next to her. The last thing I saw was the bloody knife clutched in Adina's hand. This time the screams came from me. Dun dun dun! What happened? Did Adina actually murder the mayor's wife? Like, seriously? We'll see. So this is Guilt and Ginatan by Mia P. Manansala. This is book 5. So, you should start at book 1. But there's a stabbing in this one. Questioner number 3, prompt number 3. Ornament catches the eye. Minor character steals the show. So this is the perfect segue then to tell you about Mia P. Manansala's book 1, Arsenic and Adobo. This is Mia P. Manansala's first novel to this Tita Rosie's Kitchen Mystery series, and the minor character that always steals the show in every single one of the books of the series is this little guy, the little gal right here, Longanisa. She is like a weenie dog, and she's adorable. And Leela dresses her up in all these really cute outfits. Anytime there's a scene in the series with Longanisa, it's like Mia Pimentel makes it a point for you to like visualize this adorable little weenie dog just all dressed up and cute and just like swoon for just all the cuteness that Longanisa is. I don't have it tabbed with any of the descriptions on Longanisa, but just trust me. I think sometimes these books are worth reading just to see what Longanisa is up to, what she's wearing. So cute. Question number 4. Lights, Tangled, and a Couple Out. A mystery, a tangled story with twists and turns. For this one, I have a couple here. The first one was a novel that I read this summer. This felt tangled, and it was confusing, and it was slow burn. And so there was like, it almost felt like a little bit like being on a boat and getting a little like seasick, in the sense that it was really slow burn and there's so many characters and it's this back and forth in timelines. I mean, I still really enjoyed my reading of this book, but I think it was twisty and turny in a really slow way. So the best way that I could describe the feeling of like twists and turns and really, really slow maybe would be like being on a boat and hopefully not getting too seasick. This is Goodbye Earl by Lisa Cross-Smith. I love Lisa Cross-Smith. I think she's a fabulous writer. I will read everything that she writes. I have not finished reading through all of her books, but what I've read, I've really enjoyed. And this is, like I said, a slow burn, very twisty, very tangled novel with 4 friends who are just like the best of friends. And they feel to me the way people talk about like how elephants, female elephants, defend their fellow sisters. And so the sisterhood here between these friends is one of the best sisterhood like friendships, like when your friends are your sisters and they are always there for you. Like this is one of those that is, these characters are really, really wonderful in that way. So, Goodbye Earl, a revenge novel by Lisa Cross-Smith. Very twisty, turny, and slow burn. A little bit more plotty and a little bit more medium pace, so not as slow burn as Goodbye Earl, is More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie Gutierrez. I recently read this book and this was a 5-star read for me. This is a really, really good book. Very twisty, a lot of mystery. Someone, someone is killed, and you think you might know, but you think but then there's the author has two perspectives, or three perspectives, and two different timelines, two main perspectives and two timelines, and you're trying to get to the bottom of the whodunit. So it's a really, really great mystery. If you love domestic thriller, like domestic, well, I'm not sure if maybe this is a thriller, but this is definitely like a mystery. It's like it's domestic fiction, um, with a mystery aspect to it. The murder happens off the page. There's this one murder you're trying to figure out. Where you're watching somebody try to figure out the story. One of the perspectives is a journalist who is researching this murder, and so you're kind of seeing them gather the evidence and trying to make up the story of what is there to tell here. So, More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie Gutierrez. Medium paced plot, definitely tangled and twisted. Question number 5. Candle catches tree on fire. The fire burns a place down, or a book in which the fire burns a place down, or it's important to the story. Again, I have two for this one. One is metaphorical. So the metaphorical one is El Llano en Llamas by Juan Rulfo. The prairie on fire, essentially. This is a metaphorical fire. This is pre-war, the Cristero revolt in Mexico, pre the Mexican Revolutionary War. And Juan Rulfo writes about, it's political. It writes about war, about social issues, about the politics, the sociology, the anthropology. You get to really connect with the landscape and the characters in his novels. And he writes a very great sense of place in his novels. So the Llano, I'm pretty sure I haven't read this one yet. I've read Pedro Páramo, but this one's on my bookshelf to read. In the book, the landscape is always by his writing, his landscapes are always very real and vivid. And I believe that it's in Llamas. It's on fire because of the turmoil, the political turmoil. There's a lot of in his writing. He writes a lot about the conflict between government, the poor, the revolutionaries, and the Catholic Church. So there's a lot of tensions that will likely unfold. And a little bit about this one. So there's a new translation. So this is the Spanish, but it was recently translated. The new translation came out this year by University of Texas Press. And I want to tell you about that. Okay, so the title in English is The Burning Plain by Juan Rulfo. It was translated by Douglas J. Weatherford. I think Douglas J. Weatherford also was a translator for the Pedro Páramo new translation that was released last year. So about El Llano en Llamas, a new translation of El Llano en Llamas, an iconic collection of short stories that changed the course of Mexican and Latin American literature. By the way, just a little insert here. Gabriel Garcia Marquez has said that his writing for 100 Years of Solitude was inspired by Juan Rulfo. Juan Rulfo's Pedro Páramo. So anyway, he was very influential. Juan Rulfo, the author, has become Mexico's most significant and most translated collection of short fiction, set largely in distressed rural region of the state of Jalisco, known as El Llano Grande, the burning plain of the title. The 17 stories of this anthology trace the lives of characters in the wake of the Mexican Revolution from 1910 to 1917 and the Cristero Revolt from 1926 to 1929. A father carries his fatally wounded son through the night in search of healing. A young girl's prized cow is swept away by a flood, along with her family's harvest, and a group of campesinos spend all day working across the immense barren llano that the government has given them to farm. Through it all, Rulfo rejects moralizing and nostalgia, capturing instead the harsh reality of a landscape and people marked by violence and the weight of hardship and injustice. Rulfo's writing, often compared in importance to that of William Faulkner, Anton Chekhov, and Gabriel Garcia Marquez, is characterized by a laconic literary prose and the distinctive language heard throughout the rural communities of southern Jalisco. These qualities come alive in Douglas J. Weatherford's vibrant new rendition of Mexico's most celebrated collection, 70 years after its publication in Spanish. Rulfo's work speaks to a new generation of readers. The New York Times Book Review blurbed this as among contemporary writers in Mexico today, 1959, Juan Rulfo is expected to rank among the immortals, and Publishers Weekly blurbed, what is remarkable about these sketches is that the characters are rendered with deep honesty, their faults are highlighted, celebrated in a way that is reminiscent of Chekhov's Peasants. I cannot wait to read this one. I read Pedro Páramo for the first time. I read it twice, actually. It was one of those books that I read, loved it so much, and immediately reread Pedro Páramo last year. I am due for a reread of Pedro Páramo because I'm working on something on the side for Pedro, like in regards to Pedro Páramo. But this is my next Juan Rulfo read, and I cannot wait. This is probably going to get read in 2025, hoping in the first few months, because I am so excited for this one. So anyway, there's a metaphorical fire. The plane is on fire. It is burning, and there's a lot happening in Mexican history during this time period. The next one is actually like a real fire, and it is The Performance, a novel by Claire Thomas. This was one of my favorite books when I read it. I think I read it a couple of years back when it came out. I bought it as a new release. I got the hardcover, 2021. So this novel is also told through multiple perspectives, and it is taking place, part of it, there's 3 characters in this novel, I believe. There's 3. And they're all in the theater, and they're watching a theater performance, and there's so much happening in the world around them, and everything, and inside of them, internally and externally, there's just so much bubbling up for the characters, and it's really interesting how these stories converge. These characters, their lives just kind of intersect in like the most incredible ways. So the inside flap says, the house lights lower, the auditorium feels hopeful in the darkness. 3 women at turning points in their lives go to the theater to see a play while wildfires rage in the nearby hills. Margot is a successful fluency professor on the cusp of retirement, distracted by her fraught relationship with her ailing husband. After a traumatic past, Ivy is now a philanthropist with a new baby and a seemingly perfect life. Summer is a young drama student, an usher at the theater, and frantically worried for her girlfriend, whose parents live in the fire zone. While the performance unfolds on stage, so does the compelling trajectory that will bring the women together. By the time the curtain falls, they will all have a new understanding of the world beyond the stage. Strikingly intimate and emotionally wide-ranging, The Performance is a novel that explores the inner lives of women as it underscores the power of art and memory to transform us. Claire Thomas is a Melbourne writer. Her acclaimed first novel was Fugitive Blue. Claire holds a PhD from the University of Melbourne, where she teaches literary studies and creative writing. She is an amazing writer. This was one of my favorite books of 2021. Loved this book so much. It was a 5-star read. It was excellent. highly, highly, highly recommend. So there's wildfires outside, and these women are in a theater, and it's just incredible. Incredible because the fires are so, like, the fires are outside and they're also inside, metaphorically speaking. And it's really great. I believe that the play is Samuel Beckett's play, Happy Place. I don't remember the title of Samuel Beckett's play, but it's based on Samuel Beckett play. Question number 6. Sweets chocolates, a sickly sweet story that you can't resist. It also said one that you too sweet, so sweet that you dislike it. And that's not the case here for me. The one that I chose because it had a sweet name. And it's Caramelo by Sandra Cisneros. Caramelo is actually like candy, caramel. So it's, the title feels like sweet and sticky. It gives you that sweet and sticky vibe because this takes place over the summer on a summer road trip. A family drive from Chicago down to Mexico to visit their family in Mexico. And it is hot, it is summer, and it definitely is probably really like sweaty and sticky. And I think this novel has a really great sense of place. You definitely like, it definitely feels like a really long road trip. I haven't read it in so long. I need to reread it. But it's about family, and it's about coming home, and it's about exploration of home and what it means. Like, where is home? And it's a coming of age. The teenager in the story is, I believe she's a teen or a preteen. The back of this says, every year, Celaya Lala Reyes' family, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers, and Lala's 6 older brothers, packs up 3 cars and in a wild ride drives from Chicago to the little grandfather and awful grandmother's house in Mexico City for the summer. Struggling to find a voice above the boom of her brothers and to understand her place on this side of the border and that, Lala is a shrewd observer of family life when she starts telling the awful grandmother's life story, seeking clues to how she got to be so awful. Grandmother accuses Lala of exaggerating. Soon, a multi-generational family narrative turns into a whirlwind exploration of storytelling, lies, and life, like the cherished rebozo or shawl that has been passed down through generations of Reyes women. Caramelo is alive with the vibrations of history, family, and love. The New York Times Book Review blurbed this as a joyful, fizzy American novel, and I really like those words together. Soulful, sophisticated, and skeptical, full of great one-liners, it is one of those novels that blithely leaps across the border between literary and popular fiction. I think that's so true. Straddles both worlds. The LA Times says its characters leap from the page like Eduardo Galeano, John Dos Passos, and John Steinbeck. Cisneros writes along the borders, where the novel and the social history intersect in this lovingly told and poetic novel. She uses the storytelling art to give these voiceless ones a voice and to find the border to the past, imbuing the struggles of her family and her countries with the richness of myth. This is Caramelo by Sandra Cisneros. I am so due for a reread of this one, but I don't know. I don't know that I could reread because this is the tiniest font. We'll see. And 7 is Fallen Angel, a fallen or flawed hero. Okay, another favorite of all time. This is my favorite book when I read it too, and watch it be the same year. I read this also when it first came out. Yeah, 2021. So these two, the performance in this one were like in my like phase of that year. Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Little Badger. This hardcover, by the way, is amazing. This is the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful books I own. There's like the text is like embossed on the jacket, and the inside it feels like snake skin. It's so cool. and it's got this really cool cover. Um, the the hardback has this illustration here. It's really cool, and the back has this. It's interesting. Like I get it because I read it, but I don't. You should read it. So this is Darcy Little Badger's second book. Her first book, her debut was Elatsue. This is Snake Falls to Earth. This is my favorite so far. I haven't read the newer one that just came out this year, but I would like to. But this is so far is my favorite. And the reason why I chose this is because one of the main characters in this is Ollie, and Ollie is a water snake, a cottonmouth. He's a cottonmouth, and this novel starts out with just two different worlds. So there's the physical world, the earth, and there is a reflective world, or a world of spirit animals. And so you have Nina in the physical world, and you have Ollie in the reflective world or the spirit world. And Ollie is the cottonmouth snake, and his friend is sick, and he is wanting to help. So he goes to great lengths for his friend. So to save his friend, he falls to Earth. So Snake falls to Earth. He travels to Earth. So the two realms that are the two planes, like they're existing parallel universes. So you have the physical world paralleled with the spirit world. And when Ollie the snake falls to Earth, these stories converge, they intersect, they meet, the characters meet, and it's really beautiful. It's really inventive, and it's really creative, and it's smart, and it's beautiful. So Ollie is a hero, and he is fallen. He has like fallen from the spirit world into the physical world, and it's really amazing. And what a great friend. Number 8, The Perfect Christmas Book. Nostalgia, connection with the past and the present. Another one. This is a book that is favorite of all time. I've like talked so like adoringly about this book last year so much, and I'm probably going to continue to like give it its praise. It's well-deserved praise. Martita, I Remember You by Sandra Cisneros. I freaking love this book. This is a 5-star book. Look at how it's tabbed. Like, I love this book so much. Okay, so I want to read a section of this here. I've read this passage before here on my booktube channel, but I know since I've read it, I've had new subscribers, and so I just reread it rather than look for the video where I originally read it. But in Chicago, my family is making tamales for Christmas. They're soaking corn husks in tubs of water to soften them. There's a scent of pork meat steaming in my mother's pressure cooker. My mother has a whole family assembled in a production line that requires all hands on deck. Aunts, uncles, and cousins and kids, some at the table spreading dough on the corn husks with spoons, some adding the fillings, the sweet and the salty, then tying them with strips of corn husks as if they were Christmas presents. My family is gossiping as they work, I imagine. They're having a good laugh about me, I bet. My ma is telling a story with me holding a flute of champagne in one hand and a pen in the other. She imagines I'm looking out at Paris from the top of the Eiffel Tower, though I can't even afford the second floor observation tower. Me in the city of dreams. Only my father keeps his thoughts to himself, his mouth shut. On Christmas Eve, no one invites us to dinner. Marta and Paola and I meet at Boberg with a paper bag of walnuts, a demi-kilo of tangerines, a bar of Swiss chocolate. We look in the bright windows. An Indian shop full of gauzy French scarves, leather strings of brass bells, patchouli incense, wicker baskets, rattan chairs. A woman selling roasted chestnuts. Open-air stalls with great downy geese hung by their feet, flaccid necks, pheasants, with all the other plumage, waxy wheels of cheeses as creamy as calla lilies, chocolates wrapped in gold foil, blood oranges from Spain, green bananas and mangoes from Senegal, avocados from Israel, Greek pistachios, feathery tulips the color of flamingos on thick green stems, shops with silk camisoles and scented drawer paper, soaps that smell of carnations, little bunches of lavender tied with ribbon, a peach parasol lampshade, a white iron bed with an antique comforter and the linen all cut work and edged with Battenberg lace and Marilyn Monroe alarm clocks. Look, look, Martha! You bury your head on my shoulder and say, "Please, can't we go now? I'm so cold." And that is Martita, I Remember You by Sandra Cisneros. This has so much nostalgia for me, and I just could reread that passage over and over and over again. And it evokes so much for me. So I personally just adore this book. And that's it. Uh, I don't think I'm gonna tag anyone because I feel like no one tagged me and I am late to the party, and that's okay. If you're watching this and you haven't been tagged and you want to do it, just tag, you're it, just do it. Thank you so much for watching. Hasta la próxima.